Jamal's hands were sweaty as he entered the corporate building for his interview. The crisp, modern space felt cold, a stark contrast to the heat of his determination. He had come a long way too long to be dismissed so easily. A few years ago, he had been homeless, barely scraping by on the streets. Now, he was here, suited up, ready to show that he was more than the world had ever given him credit for. The interview room was sterile, the three people across from him giving off an air of disinterest as they scanned his resume. As Jamal spoke, detailing his work ethic and skills, their eyes barely flickered with recognition. When the woman at the center finally spoke, her voice was flat, almost dismissive. "Thank you for your time. We'll get back to you." Jamal's heart sank, but he didn't show it. He knew the drill. He had been here before the quiet rejection, the subtle racism. They weren't looking at his qualifications, they were judging him based on where he came from, how he looked. But Jamal was used to it. He had learned to survive on the streets by reading people and seizing opportunities. He had learned how to stay invisible while quietly building something greater than anyone could imagine. As he left the building, Jamal didn't feel defeated. He had secrets, deep, carefully guarded ones. What they didn't see, what they couldn't understand, was the empire he had been building in the shadows. Jamal wasn't just a man trying to climb the corporate ladder, he had been steadily growing his wealth through strategic real estate investments, private contracts, and by making connections that others overlooked. He didn't flaunt his success. Instead, he played the long game, watching, learning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Over the next few years, Jamal's financial empire grew in silence. He used his time on the streets to master negotiation, business strategy, and how to turn small opportunities into bigger ones. By the time he received a call from the company that had rejected him, they had already heard rumors about his quiet success. They were struggling and needed someone who could turn their business around, but they didn't realize what they were truly asking for. Jamal walked into their office, calm and confident. The same people who had dismissed him before now looked at him with a mix of awe and uncertainty. They were desperate, and he could feel it. They wanted him now, but Jamal wasn't about to give them the answers they expected. He had the power, not them. "I'm here to offer you a deal," Jamal said, his voice steady. "But this time, it's on my terms." The tension in the room thickened as Jamal laid out his plan. His expertise, his connections, and his knowledge were all assets they would need. But Jamal wasn't here just to help them out of their troubles. He had a bigger goal in mind, one that didn't include becoming another cog in their corporate machine. He wasn't here to be part of their world, he was here to reshape it. Just when it seemed like Jamal's future was set, a new challenge appeared. A rival company, one that had also been tracking his rise, made an even more enticing offer. They knew his worth now and wanted him on their side. Jamal stood at a crossroads. He could stay with the company that had accepted him after initially rejecting him, or he could jump ship to the rival company, whose offer was more lucrative. But Jamal wasn't driven by money. He had something greater in mind. He wanted to build his own empire, a platform for people like him, those who had been underestimated, ignored, and pushed aside. He wasn't going to settle for being a pawn in someone else's game. In a shocking twist, Jamal revealed his true plan to both companies. He wasn't going to play by anyone's rules anymore. He was going to create something that would shake the very foundations of the corporate world. His vision was clear, a space where people like him, those who had been ignored or rejected, could rise and succeed on their own terms. As Jamal stood before the board members, now awestruck by his vision, he knew this was only the beginning. But just as the dust seemed to settle, another twist emerged. What were the rival company's true intentions? What was Jamal's next move? Was he about to create a legacy, or was he playing a dangerous game of his own? The answers were still hidden, waiting to be revealed. But one thing was certain: Jamal had changed the rules. The world had no idea what was coming next. The man they had once dismissed was now the one holding all the power, and his journey was far from over.